Hello, how we doing? Hi. Yeah, so at some point, apparently I loaded the Hall of Fame mod into this save. So that's a thing now. Great mod, also, by the way, you should download it. All it does is change the background screens in the main menu to a bunch of random saves that has been curated throughout the years. Like this one right here, Arrow in my Gluteus Maximus, who's um done some really crazy builds. He has. I think he's also. It's funny actually talking about that combinator display because I'm pretty sure I'm assuming he, but they came up with a 3D renderer using combinators and I think it was transport belts and things. Like ejected items across the screen to act as a renderer. It was incredibly slow. Like they had to time lapse it or increase the game speed to make it a reasonable frame rate, but it's still impressive. Like it's an impressive build. This clock one's great too. Um, Co-worker was solving MS issues for 2 weeks already. Even raised support with ticket to Microsoft, and he wanted to have a call with me right when the FFF was released. So you solved the issue for him. uh, that is going above and beyond to make sure that you don't miss out on the FFF read. Oh, mangled pork. That is a name you don't see very often. I think I love the biters on the treadmill. 2016. It's actually quite interesting. Sort of myself, Will, Exterminator, and such. Oh, not so much Exterminator because it goes back to 2014. We're sort of like the second wave of Factorio players, and Mangled Pork, Aroomba. Oh wow, I'm really struggling for names. You know, the people that played the really old versions, they're like the OGs, and we're like the second gen. And then you get the next lot. They're the like the third gen. The wow, names are escaping me. I'm just trying to pull the name. Like I'm stalling trying to pull the names. They've just gone blank. Martin Cedo Pants, Amphibious Amphibian, those kinds of people, like the third gens, the 2018s, 2019/2019s, and onwards. Anyway, I was supposed to be continuing on. It's kind of interesting, anyway. The reason I'm thinking about it is it's kind of interesting seeing how the sort of content creator generations ebbs and flows. Like some rise up, then down, and then the next one's come up, and the next one's come down, and the next one's come up and come down, and so it keeps on turning. And it's usually like like a single creator. Usually they last like 2 to 5 years. So apparently we're on a train to nowhere, which is also on a road to nowhere, sounds very catchy. You can make a tune out of that, I reckon. Um. Anyway, I think. Well, I have a few things going on. First of all, I've been running this off and on, poking things. The steel/iron is almost finished, rebuild. The copper has almost finished its rebuild. Apparently it's clogged again. I'm actually pondering. I wonder if there's anything trapped there in that red. I'm pondering actually just blowing up all the remnants. Like, I'm pulling down all this, but there's no reason why explosives can't deal with it. As my ear gets itchy. Decidedly itchy. But part of the reason I wanted to be here is I wanted to build a supply center. Oh, so to deal with the supply situation, in combination with the Red Belt Megabase and brute force and laziness, I now have a 282 supply train. So now is actually a good opportunity to utilize it. So we'll grab that, plop that there somewhere, like so. Presumably most of it will get built. That's the hope and the dream at least. Then we have the rest of this crap. Not that one actually. Probably more like this one, where we have a fuel delivery station. Where should I chuck this? Probably there. And then any other supply stations that are needed can be lashed onto it as needed. If I was actually thinking about this, instead of not thinking about it, which I was currently, I would have actually locked it on grid. That would have been smart. But, I mean, we didn't come here for smart plays. I'm probably going to want a couple of tiles there. Then we're a little bit back, and then it goes there. I mean, if I was to really be pedantic, I'd actually copy that. I mean, I managed... see? See, that's why I checked. That's why I checked. And then we connect... If we can reach, we connect the red wire. I mean, we could go even one further. Can you actually... Yeah, you can. You can actually do that instead. So much waste of time, and the solution was have a little bit of patience and give Azure time before doing any action. So many things can be solved just by waiting it out and seeing what happens. Don't need those. 2. Don't have a little siding for the PAX train. I think that's everything. So we've got the supply. We've got the... Oh yeah, I moved this thing as well. That was really annoying. So we've got supply, we've got packs, we've got fuel. That should be everything. Ooh, that's gonna get interesting, come to think of it. So the way the PAX train works is it needs some signaling to trigger it. Thank you, autosave. I'm going to craft a train stop. I'm going to need to craft another train stop. It's funny how relevant that is too, because there were the order was put down to, well, there was all this work going on for me that was at my work where or how can I phrase it? There was this whole lot of work that was being proposed to do, in preparation for this other stuff, and I was like, I kept thinking, this doesn't sound like things that are actually necessary. And I kept raising raising concerns more and more. Hey T-Hacks, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. What the hell am I trying to do? Yeah, make sure I go check out T-Hacks. What have you been working on lately? I was just going to say, how's the space I wanted to say space exploration, but I don't actually know if you're still on that or not. I genuinely haven't seen you in ages. Dear. That's right. So we need 2 signals linked together, like so. Like that. Don't need those signals. Then we need an exit signal, like so. Death by overwork. That game. Yep. I know that game. Okay, that hopefully is safe. If not, I might be in trouble. Where was going with the Agni dude? Oh yeah, so this other dude was getting all worked up about having to do all this stuff, and this is all just massive amounts of work that needs to be done. And I was like, hang on, this suspiciously sounds like work that doesn't necessarily need to be done. Let's wait and see. And eventually raised it, and then, as near as I can tell, all this work that was talked about doesn't actually need to be done. I'm going to save that as a blueprint while I think about it. Sure, those will do. So it's just a base site supply. If you survive one more week, you'll be on part-time and be streaming again. Ooh, nice. I mean, it does depend on surviving, of course. What are we, 28 by 28? And we need to plop you right about there, I think. So if I've done it right, yeah, it snaps on just nicely. Alrighty, so I can plop that there. Now we're done forever. Now I just need to do it like 10 million more times. What do you reckon we'll get for the FFF this week? That's a real question. Should take a poll or something and see what we get. All right, we want the 90-degree curve there. You get beers with the FFF. The fifth. Did you get the green and red wires? It's got the red wire. It doesn't use the green wire though. Yeah, for this one, so when it sends the train, and then the train, when it sees two red signals, that triggers it to go. So when a train rolls up here, the train's existence in the train stop sets the first signal to go red, and then when a train signal rolls past this second signal, it sets the second one red, which triggers the train to go, and it'll slide out that way. Yeah, it'll slide out down there. And this signal's here to make sure that this train doesn't get blocked. It just depends on the way out not getting blocked, which hopefully won't happen. Hey, hello train. How you doing today? Glad to see this thing's working as intended. Oh dear. Alright, your trash, your supply. So you don't request things, you do request things. I haven't actually finished naming this place yet. And I'm going to call, but I am going to call it thingy. What the hell did I call these things? This is using the old naming scheme because this save is pre 1.1. I think it was hash hash. I suppose we're technically at science. I think that, yeah, that was correct. I guessed correctly. Hash hash because it's at the top. That's a really old standard. So you should be supply. Oh yeah, that's supply thingy. New alien, something about weapons? Mutalisks. One can only dream. It should roll up there. More space travel things? Maybe, yeah. I mean, what haven't we learnt about? I need to keep track of it. So we haven't learnt about more about the... What haven't we learnt about? We haven't learnt about the bio lab. Like it hasn't really been covered in any significant detail. The moldy planet hasn't been talked about. The second, so we know there's two fruits, and we've only ever really learned about what one of them is. We've only learned about the smooth brains. We don't know about the wrinkle brains or the five heads. I'm actually on the fence with the final planet as to whether or not they'll reveal it. I have this feeling that they won't go beyond, if at all, they won't go beyond the first introduction. Right, we do need that one. We haven't learnt about Stomp 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 from Moldy Planet and what that means. Crudely hidden machine. Was that the final signature machine from the final planet, though? I have a feeling that we will be learning about those. Wow, there's a big hole in that. Oh, that's just modules. Oh, the book's there. That's why. Anyway, cliffs. Still some cliffs in the way. New armor grid items? Maybe. What was that? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. We haven't learnt about the rest of fusion. You're right. The obvious mystery item that is included there, which I think was just a placeholder to give him to consume the coolant and consume the hot spent coolant and give him regular coolant. I have a sneaking suspicion. Yeah, the coolant reprocessing hasn't been covered. So, because there's a lot of unanswered questions with fusion. Well, there's a few unanswered questions. It's probably time that we had that. I'm actually in thinking about it. I'm kind of curious what. So with all the circuit network changes, I'm kind of curious what that has done to Madzuri's lag machine. How that affects the game now. Oh, it went away just as I was about to click. It'd be the cold planet building. Well, did we have? Let's hang on. Nope, that's not the one I want. Fine, we'll go here. Now where was it? Train new planet, blah 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 blah. That one? Possibly. Because this image did clue a lot of things. Like there's a foundry, it was like the flipped chemical plant, there was like the EM plant there. Is that no, that's a flipped chemical plant. There was another one. I'm trying to remember what it was. Like there's an EM plant, foundry, biolab. Did we ever? No, I don't think we ever saw a fourth signature building, did we? That's what I'm trying to think of. I don't think we ever saw a fourth signature building. Like any clue at all as to what it might be, if one even exists. So Yeah, if there's no fourth signature building, that might be the cold planet's well, signature building. Yeah, is the fusion Kajiga. Hmm. Yeah, so, I don't know if I don't know where the blueprint is, but yeah, so Madzuri, a very long time ago, made well, a lag machine, basically. It's just a brick of combinators. I don't even know how it works or what it does, but it just lags the game. Like, hard lags the game. As soon you build it, and as soon as you turn it on with the UPS stats up, like you turn the time usage on, what would happen is the circuit networks, it would start at nothing, and it would just slowly, this number would just slowly increase and increase, and then eventually the UPS would just slowly go down and down, and it would just keep going down until you reached like no UPS. And of course, there's a mod for that. Of course, there's a mod to add StarCraft enemies to the game. Because why wouldn't you want StarCraft enemies? In all seriousness, why wouldn't you want it? Now, because I'm dumb, alright, let's just do them all one by one. Yes, yeah, UPS is updates per second, so I've got this counter. This is another debug thing you can actually turn off. It's just F4 and then that. So UPS is how many times the game updates per second. The two are somewhat tied to each other. As the factory gets bigger, the updates goes down, and as a result, the FPS goes down with it. But it's like the FPS is capped at UPS. There's an odd thing you can do. You can do game.speed 2 equals 2. Yeah, now it's a 120. 1. But I wouldn't recommend running at twice speed. Yeah, as Westwood says. FPS cannot be higher than UPS. So the two are somewhat linked, but UPS can be higher than FPS. Alrighty. Now, where the crap am I going to put this thing? Probably over here. It's actually quite funny because this base is probably going to get ripped up. In the not too distant future. And that means, is that train limit, read contents? Oh, I better not paste it over that then. So this is also using, this base is actually quite old by modern standards. And so over here, it predates train stop limits, so it's using enable disable, which isn't how you would really do it these days. You would always try and use train stop limits. Right, you need to go over there to make that consistent. And then we need to pull all this down. And rip all that out. I really undercooked this base. I never really finished it. I think this is one of the last ones I did. Yeah, if you're wondering what all this crap is, this is a 8,000 signs a minute megabase that I made a few years ago. And so one of the last sort of hurrahs that I'm doing for leading up to 2.0 is just cleaning it up and getting it up and running again. I never built storage. Ain't that a thing? Yeah, you got no buffer chests. That's a bit of an issue. Lies. Enable disable still has a place in Modern Factorio, and we miss it when it's gone. Yeah. Secretly, you saw right through me. Secretly, it is still a thing. And it will rise again, and it will take over the world and consume all Factorio bases. Hey, Glacier. Now, because I'm lazy, I'm not going to use a real junction there. I mean, I don't really need a real junction, having said that. Why are you all confused? Oh, yeah. Yep, that would do it. Oh, yeah, you're trying to pull in. Yeah. You don't need to pull in nearly that much stuff. That's for the smelter, which does like legitimately need a lot more. Oh, it's in the shroud. Oh, you're named wrong. That's slightly embarrassing, that is. That means the supply train is also wrong. No, you're correct. Oh, okay. That means all. Oh, it means all of these have inherited it though. Unfortunately, I don't have train groups. How come you can't get out? Go to there. Oh, there's a track piece missing. That'll do it. The size of the trains. Yeah. Gotta love 416s. So that's actually one of the main jobs is to upgrade these trains. So this base originally had 8 long trains. So I've doubled them to 16. They're just too short. These ones are so angry. If you cannot stand in their way. If you do, bad things will happen. Yeah, 416. So there's one of the old ones, 2, 8, and they're becoming 4, 16, and 4 on the end. Oh, that's gonna be a massive pain. They're bidirectional? Yeah. I'm going to make them bidirectional. Admittedly, these site ones aren't so bad, but the outpost ones are a massive pain if they're single-ended. And I never should have done it. Circuit condition, red, Gradum 1. So that's got ME unload as well. How the hell did that happen? Oh, we'll just work our way down through the list. So ore train longer than plates trains. So the original concept of this base was trying out all kinds of crazy ideas. And yes, originally the ore trains were 416s. So in the way, nothing's changed. Not much has changed with that. I'm just putting 4 locos on the back of them. But then it split the wagons in half into 2 8s, which supplied 2 plate trains. Well, I can't words that very well, but yeah, it went from 416 into 2 8s. And that isn't even the beginning of the madness. So, like, this is a train for red circuits, which carries copper and plastic bar, and then train for green circuits carries the copper plate and the iron plate at the same time. Utter madness, I tell you. Now, you want some track blueprint there. Like everyone else, I maintain my own track blueprints. Exclamation mark blueprints for a GitHub. Gonna spruik my wares. Gotta spruik your wares at every available turn. That's not the thing I wanted. That's the thing I wanted. Because, you know, the one defining feature of Factorio is everyone spruiking their blueprints. Alright, so slowly get rid of their stuff. I need to replace that. I didn't... Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I didn't copy the old one. Because I'm a dingbat. You're trashing the fuel. Why are you trashing fuel? Because you're disabled, apparently. You need to return to base and get some more materials, though. Fine, I'll paint them into the air. How many bots is there? There's 600 something. It's not a huge amount. It's not ridiculous. It's a missing signal, isn't it? Or something. So a blue something with... Yeah, there it is. Ways. No, you still can't leave. Oh, there's a second one. Yeah, sneaky signal. Ah, I know what I did. I grabbed the 2-lane one-way, didn't I? Yep. 2-lane one-way. That'll do it. Yes, typing that was easier than clicking the button. Ah, damn it. Damn it? Maybe? I think so. Where's a train? Oh, I've ruined another one. Ah, it's both. It's both. Wouldn't you believe it? It's actually that. And you know what? Just to make the button feel like it's welcome. It's welcome and it's used. There we go. Need some filter stack inserters. Is there a train coming? Probably not. There's one more PAX train than there is. You're not supposed to be that. There's one more. Oh, Is there one more train? No, there's even same number of trains as there is train stops. The fact that I built another one means that it... Damn it. Means that every time you use a train to go somewhere... Didn't I fix one of those trains? Well, the point is, that if you tell the train here to then go somewhere, it'll knock the train out that's already in its place, and it'll just ripple through all of these stations until it finds a home with no train in it, and then it'll settle back down again. It's a very simple, very brute force solution, but it's quite effective. And all you need is 2 regular signals. You don't even need to change what they output, like that. You just set the signal to say when the red signal received is at the train stop is greater than 1. So this sends it to the train. And when another train rolls up, you'll get 2 red signals, and that'll tell it to go. Right, we need to go back home. A soul burn. How you doing? You had more people, you swear. Yeah, the thing doesn't go off for less than like 3, I think. I don't know if it really matters anymore. There you go. The funny thing is like right there is more than 1. So spammers. So there used to be this trick. Yeah, there you go. That's what happens. It pushes that train out the way. Oh, would you look at that? Um, what was I saying? Yeah, there used to be a thing. You know how you'd have people, like random chatters who would post random links? So people would do that using raids once upon a time. And they'd do it like with one or 2 person raids. And so you just filter out raids below a certain value. It's a very old-fashioned way of doing it, and Agreed is right. You can actually do it otherwise. So see how this has 3 going to it? So you can actually read the train count as well. So if I do that, I can see that it's C of 3. And so I could tell it to go if the C value changes from greater than 1. That'd probably be a bit simpler. I think you need to do that, you need to run the wire to a pole and back again. So it can see itself, so it can send its own signal, otherwise the circuit network doesn't work. Neil, you're trying to go to supply, you're trying to go to supply. But for the sake of this map, I'm going to keep it as it is. And partly because it annoys someone, partly because I can't be bothered changing it. Yeah, hold it there. Ah, another one. Alright, from the top. I suppose the easiest way is just to find trains that are finding their way there and just paste over it. Starter, circuits, oil, blasty, iron, copper, thingy, McThing, kajigas, whatsits, and stuff. I have C blocks. Yep, Zolburn is a very active individual on the Factorio communities. Something that I don't know. I don't know. You must have a very strong pain tolerance for the Reddit. or to be able to survive Reddit. Train, train, train. You're not supposed to leave without me. Community's nuts. I see what you did there. Factorio is really quite well, is well moderated. It is, yeah. I don't go well in Reddits because, like, unless you're on top of the topic, usually everything that needs to be added has been added within the first hour or two of anything. And most of the other stuff is just people reiterating the same thing. Oh, actually, one thing though, with the optimizations, I heard about this afterwards. We go on Reddit. Somewhere in here is a thing where a dude basically got a job offer. Yeah, this one. Let's zoom in. Go away. Good read. I still think the electric network update can be changed to having one electric buffer per entity type, e.g., all fast inserters on the network share the same buffer, all stack inserters share a different buffer, and so on. Reducing the number of buffers to update from the number of electric entities to the number of entity types for each network, which is a really interesting idea. So you make every simple entity share a common buffer. This would improve both the electric update, obviously, but it should also help the entity update significantly by reducing cache misses or fetching the entire electric buffer because the buffers are shared. I believe this way you can. And then Kavorex. Wait a second, my brain is trying to figure out the reason why it can't work. Obviously, it would change the behavior in some ways, and some ways it wouldn't matter. Yeah, it wouldn't work for roboports and more complicated units. So a lot of proboports in a big network sharing a buffer would mean it would take much longer to run out of energy completely, but it doesn't really matter all that much. For smaller buffer entities like inserters, assemblies, laser turrets, they have buffers for just enough technical reasons, and when we want to slow them down or shut them down a quarter way when there's not enough electricity anyway. So a shared buffer wouldn't matter. You wouldn't, as far as I can tell, you wouldn't see any appreciable difference. So this would be a problem. Suggested, source of prayer, and somewhere in here. Yeah, then a lot more stuff. For reports, laser turret, the issue is the energy buffer is violating the single responsibility. The energy distribution abstraction is. Replied there too. Open the replies. Yeah, there you are. See, there's that legendary soul burn. You code in C++. If you want to work for us and program this or something else, you can be a guest, and we're not required to go through the testing process. This is my reaction of your analysis, which is actually what went through my head when thinking about it. There you go. Job offer right there. Is this already done with accumulators? They're already placed or charged until their energy level syncs up with the rest of the accumulators and then compute as a single entity. They are, but the difference is they can be used together without any change in this behavior. Consumption machines can use different levels of energy based on the activity. Once fully beaconed assembler uses way more than assembler full of efficiency modules, for example. So the problem will be with entities is a bit more complex, but solvable. It's a good point. Very interesting. That came up. It's obviously, yeah, yeah. Like when you talk about assembly machines, once you factor in the effect that modules have, suddenly it starts to break down. But yeah, I like the idea. Inserters seems like a really obvious step to go in because they're not influenced by anything. Um, their power consumption's all the same, and they're so numerous when laid out on a map. So might as well. Oh yeah, you need another robot port there. There you go. All right, next, oh, we'll go back to starter first. I'll refill on goods. The general plan for how I'm going to tackle this problem, I think, is to start from the very beginning. So I'll update the supply stations. That's the first thing I want to do. Then I think the next thing to do is tackle all of the outposts. On top of that, I need to figure out where I need to situate coal, because coal is a bit of a loose end at the minute. That would also help loaders, which are mushed up inserters anyway. Yes. Oh, hang on. No, aren't in loaders slightly different now? Or is that not the case? Yeah, vanilla. I didn't think. Yeah, vanilla loaders was its own special thing, I thought. Yeah, mini loaders are the inserters. Right, now we can go to oil. Oil is another problem for another day. In checking with the original design of the map, I was using direct cracking. I wasn't shuffling oil around, so I think to be consistent, I should switch back. I think it was using basic oil cracking as well. Casual Pair, hello, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. How's your week? If it was a bad week, I'm sorry. I'm glad it's the weekend though, or at least nearly the weekend. Just got oil in Ultra Cube. Is that a? I don't know too much about Ultra Cube, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think we've all had bad weeks lately. That's the reason why it's on my mind, or at least it feels like. Wabam. It's around where oil is in vanilla. Hang on. The for that, um, isn't that where like you got to shuffle the cube around constantly, don't you? I mean, it's kind of obvious, as it implies, but like, at some point, do you get another cube? Like that's my limited understanding of it. My admittedly limited understanding of it is that you need to shuffle around the single cube until a certain point. Like potentially you eventually get another cube, or that's it. You just got to forever shuffle around the same cube. Don't know if there's another cube, but this one cube is... Oh, okay, there is only one cube and forever. Yeah. And you get a couple of alternate recipes. Was it you have like alternate recipes that can then um oh, there are cube fragments, or something that substitutes later at the very least. This is going to be a not very fun one. In fact, I'm just going to cancel all that. Also, did I scoop up the PAX train, or... Oh, no, it's over there. Okay. Just checking. Just checking. Oh, we don't need those. Oh, hello, train. They just come in so aggressively, don't they? Okay, supply oil. Go back home. Can I explain the difference between active and passive providers and how you use a buffer chest? Yeah. Um, so we'll just wait until we get back. But the way they generally work is so normally in a logistics system, you really only need passive providers, storage, and requesters. Active providers and buffers are where things start to get a bit interesting. That's probably the best way to put it. Yeah. So active provider, what they do is anything that goes in there immediately gets requested to be removed. So if I put my 50 passive providers in there, you'll see requesting to pick up, gone. It's a little quick, but yeah. Let me move it away a little bit further, just so we can see it a little quicker, or a little bit quicker. So yeah, if I put it down there, as soon as I throw something in there, so there's 100 in there, pick up 100, and so the bots immediately took it away. Now, the passive provider, in fact, this is probably easily indicated by making my own network with blackjack and hookers. There. So if I had, in fact, let's put down one of every chest, just here, like so, and am I missing blue one? There. So we have 100 in there, and so the 100 belts are in there, and so in the storage and wanting to be picked up is, well, actually, I'm missing one there. It's a bit weird because there's no bots, but yeah. So it wants to remove those, but there is 100 in the network, so it knows that it's in the network. If I can do the same again over here, except that the bots will only pick up from here if they need this particular item. So if they need the item, they'll pick it up from the red chest. So red chests are passive providers are good for general output. That's why I say that most systems will only use the storage, the requester, and the passive provider, because you can do some really terrible things if you use these in the wrong place. Like if you use so over here on this complicated mechanism, I'm using active providers to remove items from its output and put it into storage. But this thing is controlled so that it doesn't produce more than it needs to. So this is my make everything system, and it automatically produces items as it's needed and all of the prerequisites for it. That's a bit of a tangent. So normally if you were producing something, so over here where I'm producing modules, so the output of the modules would go straight into a passive provider. And so then I can just pop a request in here for the module. That's pretty much it. And that's generally how we use it, is you have a machine, you're outputting something, and it would just go there. What you can do is limit the capacity of the output, and that means like if I limited this to 1 stack, then it produces 1 stack, fine, done. Construction robots are really dumb. They have to put it in a yellow chest and take it from a non-blue chest. Yeah, so that's where things get interesting, is so if I take that that transport belt out of there and I put it into here, you'll see there's no transport belt in the network. The requester chest has, it's fairly straightforward in the sense that you tell it to request 100 of something there, and it wants, so it says it wants 100. I was actually hoping it would say it would be requesting, but it's not, because there's no bots in the network. Yeah, when it's a bit of a tangent to what we're talking about, but yeah, blue chests, you tell it to what to request, and it'll just try and fill itself up. They're pretty straightforward. Buffer chests are weird ones because they do both passive provider and requester in one, and so they can request like a buffer chest, but it stays in the network. So you can have logistics bots or construction bots pull those items back out again. Probably the best example of that is the trash system that I have going on up here. So the thing we're actually working on. So what I've done is the output of this combinator system is anything to eliminate on the circuit in this logistics network. In this case, it's pulled all of the wood from my inventory out. It sends the request to a requester chest, which then gets inserted into a buffer chest for holding until the train arrives, and then it gets inserted onto the train. And the reason I do that is, it's actually really weird because why I do that. Because if you request it from a... Wait, what? I genuinely can't remember why I did it. There's a specific reason for it. I'm pretty sure it was to make sure that the item can be still available and also still satisfy the request. So the way this is set up is you can have there should be, oh, wrong chest, that's why. Yeah, there's a checkbox here, request from buffer chests, and that's unticked. So what I'm doing is I'm taking it out of the network, putting it back in the network, so it can be plucked out if I happen to request it. And this is a bit of a tangent, but yeah, so this thing requests it, puts it in there to make it available again. That's really handy if you're like deconstructing something and some modules get pulled out and that needs to be put back somewhere into a machine. You've always just used passive with limits, requesters, and storage. I don't think you've played with the other two. For the most part, you don't really need to. Like, most of the time, for circuit-controlled assemblers, yeah. For trains like here, where it's unloading stuff, yep, then I'd use it. Otherwise, it's not really worth. So Hasmojo did an off by one error, you could shift the build without trashing the entire build. There's something like that. There was a reason for it, and I just can't remember what it was. It was something like it didn't request the trash properly. Like it only requested a fraction of what it was supposed to request. It was something like that. And so it wouldn't pre-prepare the items. It was something very specific. Request from buffer chest also has a very intuitive side effect of putting a blue chest in a high priority group. Yes. Oh, there was something else. Because yeah, buffers and active providers are kind of a somewhat niche thing. You need to go there. All right, next station. Station Boomy Boom. I hope that rambling actually makes some sense. Because it was a bit rough. But I like to demonstrate. So instead of just explaining it raw, I like to demonstrate what the use cases actually are. In fact, here's one here. Like with bot mining, you just use passive provider chests. for the most part. You could actually use active provider chests in this, but there's no real need to, because the blue chests request anyway, so they're going to populate regardless. It does help a bit, but it may be a bit more than what your personal needs are. Yeah, like you can play the game without using those two chests just fine. You can play a game easily without using the buffer or the active. I know I did it for a reason. I just don't remember what the reason why I did it this way, and why I didn't just use buffer chests. I think it was related to some old logic that I think has been changed. Ah, I remember. I remember. Can you see it? Can you see it? It's very obvious. I know why. I wanted to read contents. I'm pretty sure I wanted to read content. Yep. Yeah, yeah, I remember. You can request or you can read, but you can't do both. That's why. And so when there's an item in the buffer chest, the signal goes out to turn on the train stop. That's why. There you go. Yeah. The requested chest does the request. The buffer chest does the reading to trigger the train stop. And these used to be steel chests before buffer chests were a thing. And when buffer chests became a thing, I used these instead, which means that you can pull stuff back out of the network. In the aforementioned case where, say, modules get trashed. Yeah, just like that. And then, if I wanted them back, like so, they pull them out of the trash. Yeah, that's it. It's just a luxury. For most normal people doing this kind of thing, a buffer is fine. But yeah, it's this I think this is an old school one. So yeah, if I pull the contents out of that, see, train stop's turned off. Yeah, it triggers the train stop. I remember now. I remember things. Sheepduck, how you doing? Hi. We lack the technology of reading from one wire and writing to another. Yes, yes, we do. We are very much lacking that. And then it turns out the next FFF is that. We can now read from one wire and write. We can read from one specific wire and write to another. And then it turns out they already did it, and I've forgotten. How's your Friday? Use steel despite buffers being an option, but also have active providers that can be inserted into if the steel chests everything being requested. That might be changing, we hope. It would be funny if if it is actually the next one. We want supply, boomy boom, and you, boomy boom. And this is when the sadness begins. Trying to make all this work. There we go. Me and my hacking, getting the hacksaw out and modifying these junctions. Avoid the warranty doing this, you know. Ideally, you would have a circuit config green, red, any, both. It's interesting to say any and both. I feel like those are the same, potentially the same thing. Unless I'm missing something. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if there's some oddball specific reason why it wouldn't, why there isn't an overlap. Oh, they get added. Oh, yeah, for incoming signals, then they would be added, yeah. Whereas either they don't get added. They half did that when they posted the FFF on the chains of the combinator. Yeah, I was half joking saying that because I was I was like, there's something is tickling my brain saying that they had actually done that. One thing I will do is probably pump that up to like 900. Hello, supply train. Oh, not supply train, the other train. The trainy train. Alright, that's all cleared out. I'm not really going to do much more in this base. It sort of needs a lot of work. But it's going to be a future me problem. The Happy Freedom train needs some serious upgrades. I mean, 12,000 artillery shells is a good amount of artillery shells, but it's not necessarily enough artillery shells. Because it could be 24,000 artillery shells, or 48,000 artillery shells. Like, it could be a lot higher. What constitutes enough? I think it's a matter of speed. So, like, it's the speed, it's the time it takes from rolling up to the time when it's finished and everything within firing range has been obliterated. Enough is always more than you have. It's always n+1, isn't it? Time to freedom. In saying that, what is the look at that. The time for freedom could be a lot better than what it is right now. I might as well leave that one going. Because the what would you call it? The celebration of freedom, the party that comes to help celebrate the freedom is always a little they're a little rowdy. They get a little overexcited, and you need a little bit of crowd control and policing when the biters come to celebrate their freedom. You know how it is. This big group shows up, and they want to help party with you to celebrate their freedom, but the biters they're a little bit simpler. We're the sophisticated one, the higher order that's brought freedom and democracy to the biters, and they're the unruly ones, and they mean well, but they're just a little bit less civilized, and so when they come to party, they're just a little bit just a little bit destructive, shall we say, with their celebrations of freedom. All right, that's sorted. What's the current SPM? 0. Circuit config for Factorio 2.0 that has 4 states. When you need to just use 2 conditions to get any. It's going to take so long just to do all these stupid things. I haven't even got to the difficult ones yet. Well, this smelter's not so bad. There's an argument to be made that I should maybe pre-do these. Like maybe plop one of these down like... That's going to struggle to fit. Yeah, I was saying the difficult ones. These are the difficult ones. It's times like this I wish it wasn't on a grid. $15? Oh boy. Can you temporarily ungrid it? I could, but I don't want to. You gotta respect the grid. The grid is holy, the grid is righteous. All that jazz. That's a lot of science packs. Since last week's was more about optimization and about new content, do we think we're going to get the big new content this week? I think more content, new content is more likely. We were actually talking about it before. We haven't seen the fusion reactor, the stomp biters. The biochamber hasn't really been talked about in any detail. I always say, like I constantly say that now. Sure, looking forward to Superforce. That's great. Superforce. No grid, only chaos. I support this this level of anarchy. Begrudgingly. I mean, a little bit of chaos in your builds doesn't go astray. Doesn't hurt. You'd think I'd recapture the blueprint, but I'm very much stubbornly refusing to, and having to fix it at every site. Adding the roboport and such. Doing so much work with other people who don't don't care about UPS to get a good experience. Yeah, that's great. Do you know what actually benefits the handheld, the Steam Deck, and the Switch ports as well? Because those do struggle pretty hard. Apparently the Switch is a bit of a struggle bus. I mean, the Switch is a bit of a toaster. Most people don't actually really get to the point where UPS is much of an issue. I mean, it used to be really easy to hit the UPS ceiling just by pollution. Like, I remember one of my early bases, I was having slowdowns and it didn't really do anything. It was just the pollution was so bad that the game slowed down. Yeah, there was once a time when pollution really slowed the game down. Would have been a really early version of 12, that one, where the game was slowing down. Alright, let's reload. refill on supplies and get the troublemaker done. I'm going to spend most of this session just doing these things. Got to leave those intact, but we'll pull the rest of this stuff down. I'll pull that down too. Never mind. Never mind. There we go. Stuff's happening. T-minus 10 minutes. I know it's not possible, but it would be neat to see what people would build if UPS was never a problem. Infinite compute. Probably the closest to that would... I was going to say that something like one of the Clustorios would be the way to go, but I hesitate because those are all incredibly niche builds. Cane Lake, what are the current upgrades that are happening? Right now, I'm upgrading all of the supply train stations to use a longer train. So I'm changing it from a 121 to a 282. All right. So the reason for that is the regular supply train is kind of crappy as it is. Or having a really small train in amongst big trains, it causes a few problems with train spacing. So I'm going to try and deal with that. I mean, if I was kind of hesitant to do it, but a 416.4 is actually what's really needed. But I don't want to go too crazy. But yeah, a little train in amongst the big trains in my junction like this, just completely bejorks the junction. There's a missing train track there. And so that's why I'm trying to get rid of it. Get rid of all these little supply stations. I was like, why is that? Oh, yeah, that's right. I capped it off. This whole track section is just a disaster. So that's the first thing. And that means the supply train can get its job done faster. And then after that, we're then going to start rebuilding all the outposts to support the longer trains. And then build the longer trains, get them going into the smelters, and sort of spin things up from there and scale up. All right, I'm going to send you away. I'm going to cut that. I need to figure out how the hell I'm going to get this to fit. Suppose that could work. Just got to remember that there's a track coming up right there, so it can't go across there. It's got to, at most, come in like that. I think the answer is just something like that there. Oh boy. Oh no, that was fine. Actually, it wasn't fine. I need to keep that bit. Delete that. Oh, I made myself an extra thingy. Embarrassing. Oh, they're buffer chests. I want those things. 4 lane, no, these things. It's crashing into an outpost now. Fine, I'll cut up some blueprints. See what you made me do? Totally blaming chat for cutting up blueprints. Makes you think of kind of Will's big ass 864-8 trains. 5 minutes. Yeah, I haven't quite reached that level of extremity. Going to 64 wagons. I mean, I can see myself going to 32 though. Why is copper going in the bin? I mean, I suppose it can. I'm not against it. Just binning it. This is me just trying to avoid having to substation a power a roboport. All right. That's the packs and supply. Just let it deal with it. No idea where the train went. Might have gone down there. Oh, hello train. I guess you're here now. Was it actually keeping? Just plate. Just plate. And that. And requesting that. Okie day. Next one. 2 minutes. What do you do if you're correct? You win internet kudos. Yeah, internet fame and bragging rights. An internet thumbs up. What feature optimization am I most excited about? Ooh, I don't know. There's so many things. It's like a whole new game. There's just so much stuff that's worth having. I need all of it. I don't know why I'm pasting those down. I don't actually need to do that. I'm trying to get these down as quick as I can. It's almost time. Derp, 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 derp. Tesla turret. Oh, baby. 422, the Tesla turret. In $3.99. Various Tesla items, a few other things, but last but not least, modules. I mean, it said Tesla items. That's very vague. The game appears to not be doing anything anymore. That's concerning. Oh, there it goes. Hello? Game? Game? That's concerning. Factorio is not a game known for crashing. Is that a... I wonder if that's a... Oh, might be a... Oh no, it's come back to life now. Alright, so I'll just get this thing behaving itself again. And then we shall have a bit of a looky-loo. So yeah, I'll just get this stuff sorted. Came with reading the FFF. There you go. Okay, so while that's happening in the background, Arundel and Jerasaur. We have not seen this name before. So, on Fungola, let me just move away from the bots because they're making a racket. On Fungola, you learn to control lightning, turning it from a threat into electricity. After learning to make more advanced electrical components and mastering the planet's electromagnetic science pack, you are ready for the next stages, converting electricity back into lightning. The circle of electric life. And unlocking the Tesla turret. And here we do. Bzz. Bzz. Interesting. It just plops down. It seems not too dissimilar to a laser turret. Kinda reminds me of the original laser turret, actually. Tesla turret is electric turret, like the like the laser turret. There you go, right there. I should zoom that in a little bit too. There you go. Hopefully that's a little easier to read. Hopefully. Well, the laser turret only takes a 2x2 area. The Tesla is much bigger, taking a 4... Oh, that's 4x4. Oh, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles. Yeah, as you can see, it's chain lightning, but yeah, the Tesla turret is much more powerful, but is also much more power hungry. Not only is the energy per shot higher, but the passive power draw is also significant. It's worth mentioning that we've actually reduced the laser turret's passive power draw, so two electric turrets have more differences and are better in different situations. This machine is not simply a Tesla coil. Oh. Technically, it's more like a compact particle accelerator that fires a proton or ion beam, which isn't too far. Again, not dissimilar to a laser turret. Once the primary beam hits the target and strongly positively charged, causing secondary arcs of lightning that chain to other nearby targets. This chain lightning effect makes the Tesla turret much better against groups of enemies. Tesla turret deals a decent 60 electric damage per second, but the damage comparisons are difficult to generalize since enemies may be weaker to electrical damage, and damage bonuses from technology make a significant difference, naturally. As this is just the damage per target, the lightning can jump to secondary targets 10 times in a chain as they take the full damage. Similar to a beacon. It's like it's the evolved form of a beacon. Looks like an electrical flamer to the laser being an electrical gun turret. That's an interesting way to think of it. Yeah, so this is a turret. Yeah, this is effectively a turret for dealing with groups. As with other turrets, high quality tiers give the turret more range. The base range is 30. Legendary is 45, and the Tesla turret is special in that higher quality also increases the chance of secondary chain lightning to fork. Oh. Base fork is 55%, increased up to 30% when legendary. That's when the beacons fight back. Damage isn't the only focus of this turret, though. It is equally about crowd control, electric arcs, stun targets, halting their move. It's a discharge defense. It's a discharge defense turret. Stuns them, halting their movement for a moment, then zapping them back a small amount and slowing them slightly for a short time once their stun wears off. This is great for keeping enemies away from your stuff, even interrupting their attacks if they manage to get close enough. I actually imagine in a defensive situation, you would have like this, and then flanked by like laser turrets, flame turrets, and rocket turrets, or maybe even alternate. Like you'd have a line of laser turrets or gun turrets or something, and then behind it you just have. If I have some laser turrets. Like if you had a line of laser turrets, I imagine where's the robopods there? Like you could have a rocket turret and then like a Tesla turret, rocket turret, and so on. Something like that. Like you'd use a few of them in a group as part of a combination of defenses. You're making legendary wall. I mean, I think that's what we're all going to go for. You can carry it in your power armor. Incoming mod to give you Tesla turret equipment. Oh, there's got to be equipment, isn't there? So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see it as equipment. Stun wears off, blah blah blah, which is a great flame. It is great for area effect like flamethrower or turret or explosive rocket, also locking down enemies to a small area away from your wall. Oh yeah, and flamethrower turrets as well, keeping them all at bay. It's more expensive and must be made on Fungola. So, well, I realise there's no N in Fungola before anyone complains. For a while at least, you can't use it everywhere. The synergy with other turrets means that there's still a good incentive to keep a few Tesla turrets to back up key locations. Artillery forts are a great early use case because it's an area you know will be attacked by. It's an area that will be attacked by large groups as well. The handheld Tesla gun, which requires ammo but is otherwise functionally similar to the Tesla turret. The gun version is geared more towards crowd control than other handheld weapons compared to the Tesla turret. It can chain for longer and has a higher forking chance. A chance to fork out into different enemies and split. There you go. You can see it zapping and splitting up, and yeah, there was it forked there into two different places. It may not do as much damage as some of the other weapons, but the extra bounces make it easier for a single gun to control a group of enemies. I mean, it's collectively damaging a lot all at once, which means that its DPS is still quite high, inherently. So, even though it's a lower overall damage, but the DPS is effectively higher. I guess it can work with armor lasers? I imagine so. Looks like it stuns it. Yeah, it's also stunned. Yeah, so you can see the stun there. It halts them in place for a second. As many of you know, there's a Tesla gun in your mod space exploration. It's one of the most popular weapons because it's so fun to use. I always wanted to make a turret version, but there was never a practical way to do it. In the mod, a handheld version was fine because only a few people would use it at once. In multiplayer, if you had more than 50 turrets using the same effect, you would quickly see it slowing down the game because the mod would need to search for enemies with Lua script for every bounce, and that is a slow process because it's Lua script, not base game C++. When I was making the first gameplay prototype for Space Age, it was throw things at the wall and see what sticks sort of time. We knew we were adding an electromagnetism-themed planet to the game, so a Tesla turret was a perfect fit. But it lends to it very well. I added a Tesla turret that could be unlocked on the planet, but again, the old problem of engine support and features didn't exist yet at the start, so it had to be a turret that could shoot the destroyer robot electric beam, but of course there was a plan to do much more. That would be hilarious to watch. Hey, Will. Yeah, new zappy turret. Seeing a prototype, the zapping like the destroyer bot is destroyer capsule bot would be impressive to see. Unlike the rocket turret, which obviously fires rockets, as rocket turrets generally do. There's a thought. Exterminator Uber Eats delivery service. So instead of firing rockets, it fires rice dishes for Exterminator's lunch. You know, when he wants that extra side of rice again. Hey, Jord. God, someone find the clip to know what I'm referencing. Wonder if discharge events could be personal zappy turret. It seems like it is an integrated discharge, like it's a discharge defense and end game weapon at the same time. So the Tesla turret is more or less a clean slate in terms of its effects. That means it can be more than just damage, as I saw as a good opportunity to make the turret with synergies, the sort of things you might find in a dedicated tower defense game, which is a good thing too, because it means like giving it synergies makes it interesting. Because the combat, for the most part, currently is like it's got some variety, but for mostly it's pretty easy to min-max and reach a certain conclusion. So having synergies and pairing it with things is a good thing. A short shock stun-like effect is a nice pairing with electrical damage, so that was added as one of the main non-damage features. Visually, it didn't look very impactful though. Enemies just paused for a moment, then I tried adding a small pushback effect, and that made all the difference. By changing their position slightly, it looks like they jump or twitch from the electricity, which, yeah, visually just completes the look. So coming back to here, see, yeah, they sort of jump back and twitch. Yeah, there you go. Mechanically, it's a nice combination with the stun by hindering their movement even more. And there's the concept art, the early concept. He's got the full gun and then the Eye of Celeron and then... What's going on there? Oh, it's a different base. Eye of Celeron with one base, then Eye of Celeron with a different base. More sort of tube, wires and things going on, whereas that's more blocky. More sort of Quake 2. Or is it Quake 1, Quake 2? Because Quake 2 had... Oh, maybe Quake 2, Quake 3. Something like that. What was it? There was a, that one actually reminds me, there was a level in Quake 2 with, it was like a boss level, big gun, where you had to just kill the boss and then blow up a big gun. And it was like an absolutely gargantuan gun. It's like a big Bertha or something. Bertha? Bertha or Intimidator? No, Intimidator is the enclosed turret. Bertha is the open one. The concept art for the Tesla turret was tricky because there are a lot of inspirations that you wanted to follow. That's the thing, trying to do everything and not narrow it down. But they all took the design close to things that you needed to be avoided. This made the design process very nuanced and full of pitfalls. Overall structure should vaguely be reminiscent of the shape to a nostalgic Tesla defense from something Command & Conquer, but can't be too similar. because then expectations will be disappointed if it's too much the same thing. Between the old beacon design and the new beacon design, there was an intermediate version shown in 339. 339? That didn't work out. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, the cans. And yeah, the eyeball cans, which those just never really worked. Those beacons. I mean, the original classic beacons were never amazing either. Yeah, and then we had the sphincters, the sphincter beacons, sphinktons, I think I called them. Michelle, ooh, a koala, ooh, a Michelle, ooh, or something like that. The design didn't work out well for a beacon because it was too visually dominant compared to the machines it surrounded. As people pointed out at the time, it looked too much like a Tesla turret. Wanted to capture some of this version's look with the new design, but the problem is that the current beacon is also based on the design. It is important that the Tesla turrets. Let me move that as well, just so the thing there doesn't lay over the thingy. It needs to convey the high voltage and electrical effect. It was important the design did look too close to the current beacon. There are similarities, they both have this, but they can't be visually confusing. Yeah, they need to be distinct. It needs to convey the high voltage and electrical effect, but that isn't actually omnidirectional. But it isn't actually an omnidirectional Tesla coil. It's a proton beam on a rotating turret. That means that it needs the front face. That means the face needs to rotate before it can attack, like all turrets. It should show some relation to the laser turret and suggest that it's part of the same family, but it shouldn't look like a scaled up laser turret. A laser chonk. Tesla chonk. The Tesla turret is the Tesla chonk. Or the laser chonk. Something along those lines. It should show us. The design needed a few revisions because Albert V and I had different opinions on how much of those influence was too much or too little, and often it wouldn't be obvious that something is too similar to something else from the line art, but would become apparent when in the shaded version. Thick boy laser. There were a lot of adjustments before getting to version 1, and that didn't really follow a linear process, so it's hard to show, but as far as it got with version 1 before we decided it was too similar to Beacon and just not enough laser turret. So this is concept 1. This is still very close to what we saw at the beginning, so testing with different turret colors, your red, your blue, your white, and black colors. Yeah, it's not too dissimilar to that. I suppose that doesn't have as much underneath. Yeah, it's not as sunken in, that's why. Final design ends up being version 3. The main intention behind the changes from version 1 to 3 were cover up the hole a bit more, yep. Remove the electric fence around the hole. Have diagonal supports like the laser turrets. Diagonal supports. Oh, that'll be those there. Yeah, spot the difference. Yeah, he's got the supports. It's interesting the head is pretty much sorted though. Yeah, different details all around. It's less of a trench. Like, it still has the trench, but it's more crap over the top of it, essentially. Everything is connected though, so only in the end, the head ends up staying the same. Only the head stayed up the same. So the final design has a hint of nostalgia for our retro-futuristic look, but not too much. A hint of beacon, version 2's face, but not too much. A hint of the beacon's high-voltage underground capacitor bank look, but not too much. A hint of the laser turret's diagonal supports and the green capacitor. To look at the bottom right. And finally, a hint of Tesla coil. Look at the silhouette. Well, not actually looking like a Tesla coil. I genuinely didn't see any Tesla coil in it. Yeah, there's the capacitors. It's usually got the red and green wires going on there, or the yellow and blue wires for the colorblind. The last part of the design is the electrical beam itself. The destroyer rubber beam is okay for a short distance, but it doesn't work so well for a long range. Tesla turret deserves an effect with much more punch, but also it's useful for a number of reasons to be able to differentiate the primary proton beam weapon from the secondary bouncers. The primary beam is brighter and has a straight laser-like core, electrical arcing on the fringes, bzzz, whereas the secondary bounds doesn't have the secondary straight line and they're just electrical arcs. The initial design of the main beam using the existing segment system, repeating segments are highlighted for clarity. Ah, so yeah, those are... Oh, okay, no, it's just showing where it's repeating and then it's randomized. IRL Tesla, you can see the similar silhouette. Ah, like a car, do you mean? I don't know why I thought that. Final graphics. The Electric Beam Saga. Oh, you know it's good when there's a saga. When you started working on Tesla Turret, it was kind of a vacation, far from the usual complex projects you take on. It was relaxing thing. Doing a Tesla Turret as a vacation. Most of the model was very straightforward, went smoothly. Don't have much to say about that part. That is, until it came the beam of electricity itself. That is where I found the complexity used to. When a vacation becomes work. The fact that I'm capable and willing to over-engineer even the simplest of tasks might have complicated it a tiny bit. That sounds like an understatement and a half, or 2.5. The turret base has a number of electric arcs that move around it and while it's firing, but then when there's idle with power. These arcs always go from one point on the structure to another. We already solved that problem for accumulators, beacons, and other lightning collectors. The arcs on the Tesla turret are a little different. I just lost my place. The arcs on the Tesla turret are a little different, but the same approach works, so they were not too much trouble. At least he's self-aware. Yeah, the self-awareness is definitely, the humility and self-awareness definitely shines. We know, we've all been there. It's probably one of the biggest things is that this is, people say it is a programmer's game. It really is. And so there's this open sort of rawness that you get out of these that you don't get in like to the same extent like with the Captain's Diaries. I mean, the Captain's Diaries are still very good as well, but you don't get it with other games blogs like you do with the FFFs. That just sort of openness and personal touch. You don't get that elsewhere to nearly the same extent. The obvious starting point was the discharge beam already existing in the game. It was a simple yet practical construct. Its ins and outs are very simple. We take a looping animation of a single electric beam, split it into 6 distinct arcs, then cut it into 6 parts. 1 arc each. Since the arcs are starting and ending at the same points, we can repeat the segments as many times as necessary to reach the same length of beam. To reach a necessary length of beam. Then just snap a little starting and ending effects on both sides. Simple, easy, unfortunately, very underwhelming when scaled up to the size of the Tesla turret. Yeah, you can start to very obviously see the pattern, because you can see all the node points. The punchiness of the beam was somewhat easy to fix. The system was working, it just needed more attention and care to look at the big scale. Look better at big scale. A few improvements to the process itself as to limit the loss of sanity were not a bad idea either. The other problem relates to what I mentioned before, the concept of structured chaos. With a new beam being bigger, reaching further, and staying on screen longer, it became obvious the chaos on display was a simulacrum with a clearly recognizable and thus predictable structure. How many other game blogs have just let our seeding off the leash into bitwise fine detail? How many other game studios have an R setting? I said R seeding again too. How many other game studios have an R setting? An erding. Perhaps just because they've done the blog for so long, they're feeling confident not to get cancelled. Or that the cancellization is a transient thing and eventually goes away. Because the number of times that it's been cancelled and people have kind of just moved on because most people don't have the energy to and tolerance to deal with cancelling nothing burgers. I'm probably going to get cancelled myself for saying that, for dismissing the controversies, because some people take it like absolutely rip their dicks off at it. Some people just rage so hard at it and take it so seriously, and I just don't care. I legitimately don't care. Life's too short to care about that sort of stuff. For the most part, there are times when you should care. Moving swiftly along. Again, moving swiftly along. For verse 1, each arc segments become twice as long without changing in spacing. That meant that huge portions are overlapped. Too lazy to hold a grudge? There's that too. Probably the better way to phrase it is life's too short to be upset with people, and to spend your mind spend your brain power being upset with people. Just forget it, move on. You live a much happier life. If you don't, you just be miserable forever. Now, actually moving along. For first one, each arc segment was twice as long without changing spacing. That meant huge portions were overlapped, with the central proton beam working as a base or grounding. The arc should go much crazier than we didn't need to care about whether they attached to one another. Furthermore, this approach made the separation into segments look more natural and less constructed. The real deal, though, was the approach to randomization. An obvious improvement would be to think of an obvious improvement you could think of would be to use randomized segments instead of using them in order from first to sixth and repeating it. Yet, there is one thing I've learned working on space platform borders with the Platform Hub, is that RNG gods do exist and they suffer. Not an artist, loathe a designer. Nothing kills the feeling of natural chaos, surely, as a few copies of the same lightning repeated in uniform offsets. Yep. Nothing better than rolling a 3 3 times in a row. And then that one time when you roll a 3 17 times in a row. I mean, the chances of it happening are extraordinarily low, but it can happen. It is a legitimate possibility. You probably spend a lifetime making it happen, or spend 1/10 of a second of computer time making it happen, but it can happen. A different approach was needed, and Arundel provided a brilliant one. Instead of randomizing the order of the segments, we randomized the offset of the animation, since the animation loops into itself. Starting at one end is not a problem, and then the chaotic nature of the electric beam means that often just a few frames of offset is sufficient to differentiate from other instances. So you just move around the So instead of looping the entire thing, you just change it randomly, is what I'm taking. Or do they mean offsetting the start and end point? With all that out of the way, last thing remained was to roll up your sleeves and get to the technical part. The system we used for electricity before was a very simple one. Simple is usually good. Based off a very simple ribbon shape and displaced using various random maps. If you do not know 3D graphics, you can think of displacement as the way waves would move a ribbon floating on a lake. Though in our case, instead of just waves, we also have a miniature storm displacing the ribbon in a very chaotic manner, creating a visual not unlike an arc of electricity. The shape of the ribbon can further be adjusted using hooks, special objects that can pinch and move the center of the arc around and become very important in the next step. Yeah, so we've got all kinds of fun things going on here. What we have now is what we used in the existing and new buildings to render electricity. For something more glorious, like a Tesla turret, we need to go much further. We need to step. Next step would be to increase the violent jumps, increase the electric arcs. We could use the hooks to do that. That would require tons of manual effort, and trying to recreate the chaos manually would be quite tricky and tedious. Instead, we get server not responding. Oh, good. I was just making sure things were all still happening. Why it was saying server not responding. So chat messages might not be coming through to me, is what that means. So it's tedious, create a system of deformations which are named in usual fashion the insanity drivers. Sanity drivers. The way these work is very simple. I have a set of randomly rotating objects, rotators, and then another set of objects that reads the rotation and turns itself into movement drivers. The gimmick resets the way the 3D graphics perceive rotation. Any rotation beyond 360 degrees resets to the zero rotation and continues from there. That means if a rotor spins on one axis for 2 full rotations, an attached driver will then move from point A to point B during the first rotation, then teleport back to A and move to B again. Now imagine the same, but the rotator spinning wildly on all 3 axes in a random manner. Or better yet, watch this animation. Well, that lives up to the name. The insanity drivers. That's amazing. Now it's a very simple manner to attach our hooks, controlling the ribbon to the drivers. This produces adequate results, though I did have to fine-tune here and there, manually adjusting the positions on the hooks. I thought that step would merely be thought of it as a step as merely a slight adjustment, but it turned out to be much more important. That human intervention into randomized chaos managed to place it somewhere between full procedural and manual approaches. So exactly where you wanted it at. So here we go. And that looks just like what you would expect from electric arcs. That sort of dancing, hunting, that specific path. That one in particular, I zoomed straight in on. That looks very much like an electrical arc. I mean, they all sort of do. Probably the one thing is the looping back on itself. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Let me slow that down. No, it's still the continuous line. Never mind. Yeah. As it is now, the arcs stay attached to the central beam, and no matter how violently the insanity drivers push them away. I want to address that and cut the arcs in certain places, giving the illusion the arcs are tearing away from the beam. Ah! It would be a lot of work to do, exactly that. Moving the end of the arc away, back would provide... Back away to the back. Where did I get provide from? Moving the end of the arc away and back would provide... Why do I keep saying provide? There's no provide there. Would affect a lot of the other things already in place. I decided to look for a little cheat then. And that cheat was to selectively narrow the ribbon from the end to the point it disappears. Technically, the arc was still going from A to B, but visually, there was violently ripping apart the beam due to the amount of power it carried. Yeah, that one looks more... Yeah, it just adds so much more to that one. Yeah, very nice. With the main arcs in place, I want to reuse this system to create further smaller arcs. I was very happy with the shrinking trick used before. I wanted to use it wanted to use a similar effect with smaller lightning, just on a bigger scale. The solution I came up with was to use a method called backface culling. Good old backface culling. Which in layman's terms means I made the backside of the ribbon just invisible. Since the ribbon is thrown around in a miniature storm of displacement, it twists and rotates a lot. There you go. And suddenly the back is facing the front, and since the back face is culled, there is no back. And so now you have this. And now I'm out of water. At this point, I was pretty happy with these effects, but one of the things that was standing out to me was the combined effect was very dynamic and very aggressive, and yet it lacked directionality. It seemed to just sit there. Yeah, it just sort of... Now it's just sort of dancing like it's behind a slit filter or something. Instead of delivering a concentrated dosage of freedom, of electricity straight to its target, that's why I ended up adding a second layer of secondary arcs, this time travelling at speed towards the end of the beam. Even though those minuscule and hard to spot, even when you know what you're looking for, this trick the brain into perceiving subtle movements without being too obvious. Just adding that movement does so much. I love the chaos spinner. Chaos spinner? The insanity driver dancing around. With all these systems in place, just want a single last piece of the puzzle to fall in place. The lightning fork, splitting away from the pronounced arcs. Remember how I mentioned adjusting the arc travel to a different point B was going to be a lot of work? Well, since it was, since those lightnings were added by hand and readjusted frame by frame to fit the rest of the animation. Even with just a few of those, the amount of movements grew quickly, and needed to seek ways to preserve your sanity by automating it. Classic. It wouldn't be Factorio development without automating it. We're making sure certain elements were drawn or hidden that were only necessary. You can see a bit of that interaction below. That's just chaos, that is. The places where lightning would show up as simplified. Another point worth mentioning is how distinct those shapes became, because the distinct shapes are the bane of working with anything repeating. We came against a lot here. Distinct shapes of movement, very easy to lock onto the pattern and see the fakery, yet despite that, due to the way we randomize the starting frames of every segment, that's not a problem in our case. With all the parts put together, we can see the final result of the beam. Look at that. You'd hardly know. All that's left to do was prepare the special effects for the Tesla turret's counterpart, the muzzle flash, and the hit effect. Scale down and adjust the beam to serve as a secondary chain, post-process, everything. Put it all together in game, and, well, enjoy the possibility of throwing a sick rave party. I only got your RGB LEDs too. Or your RGB lights. Look at the dance. Oh, it's shooting into... Interesting, it doesn't hit the... Oh, it does hit the beta spawners. Oh yeah, it does kill them. There you go. It looks great. It's amazing. No behemoth though. So 4 of them is keeping down a solid number of biters, realistically. Conclusions. Depending on the order you visit the new planets and how much you rush to the end, Tesla turret is one of those things you might never use and still complete Space Age. With a focus on removing things that aren't necessary, it could have been removed for the game, but it wasn't. It stuck around because it does have a clear role. It's always useful for the rest of the game if you make use of it, especially useful if Fungola is your first planet. Mainly, though, it's still here because it's just so damn cool. I mean, the rule of cool is the ultimate deciding rule. As always, zap your thoughts in the usual places. Bider's trying to sneak into the club. There you go, Tesla turret. I don't think we got caught that one. Whee! Shunk. A Tesla turret. Ah. I like how it was barely hinted and still didn't catch it. And just like that, it's back to business as usual. All right. Yeah, I need to get out my way. Why am I pressing M to close the train window? These are all things that are beyond my understanding. Plonk. There we go. Now you can come back. There you go. More and more of space exploration is coming into Space Age. Yeah, that is true. I mean, it was kind of a given that it was going to happen. I think they did actually talk about that in one of the previous editions, like the difference between the two, the differentiators. Why are you trashing that again? It holds so many thingies, if that wasn't there. Just all the bots spring to life. So ideally, the one thing I don't want is to have an inventory full of crap. Get rid of you. Empty you. What else have I gained? Probably that. A bit of that, a bit of that. I mean, this stuff will get trashed anyway. Batteries. Where is it? Yeah. Let's just pre-prepare a few more if we can help it. If we can manage it. If we can help it, if we can manage it. Leave those there just in case. I don't know what to do with this one. Might just blow it up. Kind of want to just move on. Control you. What? Oh, you're way over there. Go deal with prod mods. Come down here first. Can't blame the guy for taking the job so he could improve his initial version. Yeah. I mean, they've been pretty clear that while there is overlap, there will be limits on the overlap. And so that there are some things that one has that the other won't have. And that they will, I suppose to some extent, well, I think actually the exact wording was that they were different. There were always going to be different experiences, and to some extent complement each other. Yeah. Of course, there's a train there. Why wouldn't there be a train there? I was like, why can't you leave? It's because that's there. System works. I mean, I think it's still request. No, no, it's not. Never mind. Where is the nearest train? Probably over here. I have to deal with that next. Do I want to deal with it? Yeah, I better deal with it. I shan't be lazy, even though I desperately want to be, apparently. How many SPM? So the goal is... Or this base was originally 8,000. Currently it's 0. There is no science production at the minute.
Quite literally. There is no science production. It's all been ripped up. Why do you do? Oh, it's probably because of reasons, shall we say, reasons. Hello, electric energy interface. How are you doing today? That would have been a delagging um, tool. From the pre-nuclear optimizations, that would have been. I suppose the air will do. As always, tear down all that crap, please. It's actually kind of pointless. Because that's going to like run through right there. Any mods? There are a few little mods, but nothing too crazy. It's pretty close to vanilla. Oh, you need chests to actually do your thing. There. What have we got? Additional paste settings, which just lets you paste like assembly machine stuff onto combinators. Auto deconstruct. Um, Hall of Fame, which is a main menu mod. Manly Death Scream, which I always have. The Honk makes the silos full of geese, and the logistics templates, which we use to make managing Spidertrons like 10 million times easier. It lets you. So if I grab a hold of a blueprint, I can configure depending on what's in the blueprint. It's a really handy mod for like setting logistics to Spidertrons. It means you don't have to sit there manually setting them for like 10 hours. Oh yeah, because nuclear's got a bajillion landfill still. It's actually got a lot of cliff explosives too. Shockingly, it's got cliff explosives. Oh yeah, and the equipment fixes. It's actually an old mod that doesn't serve a purpose anymore. All it did a few things. It changed some power settings in these, and also changed the stack sizes, which has been added to base game, or was added to base game a long time ago. Um, I like to think it was because I complained about it several times, but I don't know if it was me that was legitimately the driver of it, the driving force for it. Right, well, another one. While you're at it, you can come down here, please. I have to reinstate this for now. until the not too distant future, Lucifer appears. Hello. How we doing? If you don't ask the question, no one can tell you otherwise. This is true. There was also, when you requested modules, it would default to 10, even though the stack size was 50. I remember complaining about that as well. That was another really old annoyance. Started with Factorio. Ooh. I missed your raid because of that yesterday. What's complaining? Oh, light bulbs. Am I requesting light bulbs? No. Oh, we're most of the way through. It's only taken the better part of 2 hours to get there. So you're... Yep, that's done. Where are all... Oh, they're all stuck at start. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. That was done. I mean, I sort of know it. You're not done. Done. Why are you all jammed up? Supply is full. How do you care? Ah. There we go. That's right, because I accidentally made it supply. Go-to supply, I should say. Yeah, now they're starting to distribute. I think one will still come here, like the next one will probably still come to supply. Yeah, next one will still come to the supply station. This is what happens when you name trains wrong and you don't have like train groups and things. You know, things that are coming in 2.0 but you don't have access to yet. Batteries? Might as well get the batteries done. Actually, it's not too bad. I mean, none of them have been very difficult to actually set up. In saying that. Just gotta make sure to grab that and grab those. You go right there. Where's radar there? And once again, do all that. What's plus? Another one with lots of landfill. I think that's a lesson learned, is that there's a lot of places which there we go, which have oh, that's gonna that's bad, or that will be bad. Yeah. The networks cannot be bridged. Bad times will happen. Is this place just full of crap or something? No? Hmm. Or is its trash just off? I think its trash was just off. And it shouldn't have been. Supply? Excellent. Oh yeah, got to plug the rest of the track in still. That would help. I'm just going to be lazy and do it that way. Alright, let's keep it going, keep it going. Yeah, I might do... Need to end soon, so I might do the rest of it in between the end of now and next time, or at least get most of it progressed. Just so I don't have to spend too much longer on it. It's just a lot of more of the same, really. I mean, it's what you all come here to see, isn't it? Just lots of doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again indefinitely. Coming back. Oh, the other train's coming. That train. There it is. Yeah, I was trying to think. It's like there surely should be another train coming, and it eventually is lumbering its way there. Yeah. So the last three, I might just do separately. What I will do is at least set the train loose. Starter. Straight away. You had a work call right in the middle of the FFF. That's just rude. That is. But how do you like that? A Tesla turret, Tesla laser turret, Tesla proton laser turret. Yeah. So grab that. Oh, the fish is in the way. Well, thankfully, I've got a blueprint of that, so we can just move it over slightly. Oop, I don't want to get trapped in there. That's a death trap, that is. And there's the fishy. Very important, vital fish. Alright, let's grab the train. Loco? One loco short. Are we legitimate? Yeah. I suppose there is a loco here not doing anything. Rip the fish? Yeah. But as I say, there's a blueprint, so we can restore it. The main thing is we're collecting the fish to fill the fish. One day we'll manage to fill the fish banner. I should also point out it takes like 10 million fish to fill the fish banner. It gets exponentially more difficult. Okie day, you plug into there. So you're receiving all of this crap. So let's see if this actually works. Supply base load. Train? Where are you? Oh, it was past the stop. So it's going to request things. But it's not inserting things. Interesting. Well, they're not making it down because there's no chests. Oh, there we go. I knew there was a reason it wasn't inserting. There's an auto limit on it to stop it going, stop it jamming up, which in turn causes it to jam up. Hi, new here. Will there be any alien nuking today? Not as such. This is very much a build in progress sort of day. We did do some alien blowing up a little while ago though, and there's definitely time for more in the not too distant future. Use some aliens to make yourself happy. Do you know what we need is so this is meant to be a vanilla playthrough, but at the same time, nuclear artillery exists, and so I'm at a bit of a struggle to come to terms with should we keep it vanilla or should we add the nuclear artillery? There we go. So scoop up the trash. And as we leave, it should stay off. Yep, stays off. Satai's dream has been a current mojo fixing all the mistakes of past, who was a bad planner, as always. There are no nukes. No, there's no nuclear artillery in vanilla. There is nukes in vanilla. Yeah, so there's nukes, but no artillery nukes. You need a mod for that. Where are we actually going next? Ah, batteries. So how do you send the package? With an artillery train. A very, very big artillery train. Artillery train that can carry 12,000 Bida delivery packages. Bida happiness packages.
Apparently we go to nuclear next. That's this train over here. The Happy Freedom Train. It brings happiness to the biters. It's actually the current mojo making potential problems for future, as is always the case. But it would be so much better if they were nuclear shells instead of regular shells. But as I say, I'm kind of keen on the whole idea of keeping it vanilla. Right, this is where things get interesting. How much time have I put into this save? Good question. 306 hours, apparently. Rookie numbers, by the way. It's not 1,295 numbers, but yeah. There's not a lot of hours in this one. So that other one I've been playing since 2016. I've been pulling that save through every version since I got the game. I would probably... Oh, right, you're the old one still. Moving swiftly along then. Why can't you go to oil? You feel burnt out after 15? Yeah, I used to have that happen to me. It's one of those. For this, it's one of those games where you do have to give yourself goals and rely heavily on bots and automation. You got to make things do things for you. Like these outposts have the they do have the system which lets it bring items to it. So I just build this, and then it builds the mining outpost. You blueprint down the mining outpost, and it then summons the materials to build it. So you only have to put down the unloader station, and then move on to the next one, and then just ghost it remotely, and it just builds itself. Stuff like that helps with the burnout. I mean, in in saying that, you get burnout thinking about those kinds of things. So yeah, we're now able to trash incredible volumes of garbage now. That's all the objective was the last 2 hours. 2 and something hours. Well, there's a half hour for reading the FFF, but yeah, the last 2 hours was improving the quality of this trash system. It can move more. And it's a bigger train, which means it's more in line with the trains that we're upgrading to. Oh, I think we're full. Is there any garbage really, though? Yes and no. You know, if this was in 2.0, we could throw it in the recycle bin. And we could make better items out of it. Unfortunately, it's not 2.0. The things you could do with a rebuild. Whee! It's so easy to navigate the track when there's no trains on it.
Yeah, this thing has filters on the unload as well. That way it doesn't unload. So this is the trashing phase. So it can also insert and trash at the same time. It has filters on there to pick out the things to remove. If it can't pick it out, then it filters by something else that's in there to remove. There's way too much logic on it, arguably, for any normal build. But it's there for a purpose. Yeah, see, I just kicked in again to trash more stuff. There's madness in the method. Yeah. Sort of just picks through each thing one by one. Looks like it's got itself covered. What the hell's requesting plate? Anyway, I think that'll do it for today. I need to go to bed. So, that'll do for today and this week. We'll probably continue on with Oxygen Not Included next week. And I'm just trying to think if there's something else. And maybe, yeah, Factorio is usually... I'm aiming from now on to make Factorio a Thursday/Friday thing. And or Friday. I mean, Thursdays are maybe, Fridays are definitely. I'm liking doing the Factorio Friday. I'm liking it. I miss it. I haven't done it in years. And yeah, Oni earlier on during the week. I had an epiphany with the Oni. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. It's such an obvious thing when I show it when I'll show it to you. But anyway, yeah. Who we gonna go to say hi to? Drunk or Slam? Watching Factorio. Either that or Team McIntyre. Say hi to Derek, see how his run's doing. Yeah, sure, why not? He's watching something. Oh, Martin Cedo-Pan. Oh, he's watching that Connor video. Yeah, let's go say hi. Alright, so let's go say hi to Dunk or Slam. There's raid messages. Copy and paste that. Copy one of those raid messages, paste it into the chat. Let's go say hi. I don't know this person, so yeah, let's go check him out. You can celebrate or blame Veldak for the recommendation. And yeah, other than that, thank you all very much for watching, and I shall see you